Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. My name is Rich Clark. I've been a hypnotherapist for the last 8 years, and I've been a holistic therapist for the last 14 years. So, as for Fears of Friday, Fearful Friday, of Fears and Phobias, a series about the top 100 phobias in the world and how therapy, as I'm a hypnotherapist, can help cure them. So this one is the fear of the unknown. It's a phobia, and it's called xenophobia, and it's number 27 out of the top 100. Now, I'm going to explain about two things here. So, fear of xenophobia, there's two ways I'm going to describe it. Xenophobia being the unknown of where they're worried about what they die, or where that's matched with the fear of death, but also xenophobia about people being against foreigners or strangers or something they don't like. So I'm going to explain it in two ways. And I think it's both important to understand this. So xenophobia is derived from the word Greek xenos, meaning foreigner or stranger, and phobos, meaning morbid fear. Xenophobia is the irrational sensation of fear experienced about a person or a group of persons, as well as situations that are perceived as strange or foreign. It is the fear of anything that is beyond one's comfort zone. So let's have a look at it from foreign or stranger. The way the media portrays it is people are afraid of foreigners, strange food, strange things, illegal immigrants, whatever that is. That actually is, then people are xenophobics. They will not believe they have a fear of foreign strange, but they do because they don't understand it. And a lot of these people who have that are ignorant, and they are, educationally subnormal. They're not very clever. Whereas actually, in the way we are, if we understand change and also about adaptation of humans, we actually should mix with people. I mean, people in Britain should never be xenophobic, really, because everybody somehow generates from some other form of race or culture which invaded the UK. I mean, most people are actually either from Romans, Vikings, Normans. They could be from the Caribbean, they could be from Africa, they could be from Asia, they could be from India, they could be from anywhere. So the idea of people being xenophobic is a bit weird to me, but I understand and I try and empathise with them. So anyway, so the unfear of the unknown comes in many guises. A person may not be afraid of swimming pool, but might experience great fear for them when he sees a dark lake. The fact that they cannot see the bottom of the lake triggers a fear of the unknown. Such thoughts can overwhelm the person to the extent that one's daily life and activities are hindered by it. So people actually can have a fear of flying. If they've never flown. If they've never used a car, they can have a fear of being in a car, or they can think that everything's going to happen. It's very much. I would say people probably have a xenophobic more as time before because they didn't travel so well. As people get older, we should really adapt to that. Anyway, again, my personal opinion. Xenophobia, the fear of foreigners, can sometimes be collective, leading to a racism or the rejection of strangers. However, the intense and irrational fear of foreigners can be based on a fearful experience with a stranger. Today, xenophobic or racial violence is not uncommon. It's making headlines at an alarming rate at the accounts of mass immigration and globalisation. So the idea of people will go, I don't want to eat that Chinese food because that's Chinese muck. Or you hear these things. I've actually worked with some clients who say, I'd never eat that food. Or you have to deal with some people who are quite strange. To me, I always believe try something once. Well, not everything. Anyway, I won't go into that. But yeah, something they say, always try something once. I kind of believe that's right. If you try something, and then also sometimes it depends on the situation, try something again. With food, I've done that. I mean, I've eaten different foods. So I would say probably one of the worst foods I've ever ate was camel's milk. That was a bit horrible. But I've done different things, tried different things. I mean, one of my favourites I had was the yak's cheese, which I had in India. That's amazing. See, but that's not something you'd find normally. So again, you kind of have to always be adventurous and open and like change. I don't have a fear of change, so I like to try and challenge myself. That's something I've always done. My mum, on the other hand, doesn't like certain foods. Doesn't like spices, doesn't like certain things. So we're kind of different in that respect. Causes of the fear of the unknown phobia. A number of different attitudes and triggers can lead to the fear of the unknown. Worldwide, people are becoming increasingly concerned about economic factors, results of elections, jobs, retirement planning, and health, and so on. The fear of the unknown phobia also goes hand in hand with the fear of the loss, fear of death. An agoraphobic is someone who fears the outdoors, might also have xenophobia. So a past experience of death or a death of a dear one, divorce, change of lifestyle can all lead to the one to fear the unknown. As mentioned above, xenophobia or the phobia towards strangers can be also triggered to having a negative experience with a stranger. So say, for example, you have a friend who die, who actually gets in an accident, then they die because of that. Then you could be afraid of ambulance. You could be afraid of being in a car. If your parents die, you could have things that you're afraid of hospitals. These are all things. These are very likely things to happen to some people. Again, this is something we have to work with, and hypnotherapy is a lot of that. We have to work with things which, to some people, may think it's odd, but to them, it's very real. In times of economic recession, the society starts to look for scapegoats to blame. Notice this in the media? Scapegoats. Always happens. This can lead to collective xenophobia, where the entire society blames a foreign community for their poor economic situation. My opinion is this: if you're English and someone takes your job, that means you're probably crap at your job. Or that the fact is that a company wants to get someone cheaper and they actually may be more hardworking. And if that's the case, then you should really reevaluate your life, personally. But anyway, we carry on. The fear of the unknown is also evolutionary in that men or humans have always felt insecure about something which they are unaware of. Most people do not like change. I've mentioned this many times. People do not like change. That's why it's the therapist. We actually help with change. We change people's mindsets because most people don't fucking like it. So you have to change people's mindsets. If you do not, they keep returning in their cycle of pain and hurt and deceit and depression. That's why it's important. Anyway, so in case of so the fear of unknown is also evolutionary, that humans have always felt insecure about what they're unaware of. In case of xenophobia, the individual is unable to fight their insecurities. They simply cannot cope with being unable to experience stability and security. They just can't. Some people just don't like it. They don't like change. It's really weird. A child who's always been instructed by parents to resist or fight change, or in unusual circumstances, is also likely to turn fearful towards the unknown. So this is the thing. Actually, most children are not born xenophobic. It's the parenting and the conditions. That's the issue. And that can also work the other way as well. So yes, people can say racism, but prejudice is the same. It works the same. Prejudice is prejudicial to someone you don't know. Racism is about against another race. But even people within their own ethnicity could be that, oh, I don't like this tribe because you're from this tribe, or because you don't like your family because they are from this lineage. Again, it's something a lot of people will need to work on. So symptoms of xenophobia, in most cases, are fearing unknown objects, foreigners, situations are normal. We all tend to worry about the coping with a change in lifestyle, dealing with a new job. We accept that to be the fact of life. However, for a phobic, the day-to-day life can be very stressful owing to persistent fear. This personal and professional activities can be greatly hampered owing to their own fear. So this is why when you see things, when they say, oh, there's robberies happening with this, and this is happening, and this is happening, the actual likeliness of that actually happening to you is quite low. But it's that fear the media do. The fear of the media and the government love to do that. They did that with COVID. Oh, if you don't get vaccinated, you're going to die of COVID. No, you fucking not. 98% of the fucking world didn't survive COVID. Right? They had a fucking high survival rate. Again, they used that fear. And then after that fear of COVID, then they used about the foreign illegals on the boats coming over. And there are some people who are coming over the boats who actually want a better life. They're coming from war-torn countries. Yes, there are some. Very small minority are criminals and stuff. But then who said the people, the British, when they went and colonised countries, they weren't criminals? Because they certainly robbed India and they certainly robbed Africa of all its assets. I mean, that's a bloody criminal act, clearly. Anyway, so the symptoms of xenophobia can be rapid heart rate or palpitations, dry mouth, shallow breathing, full-blown panic at the thought of the unknown or strange, feeling anxious, trying to run away or avoid the situation that requires a change or facing strangers or the unknown. Crying, shaking, trembling, throwing up, fainting are some symptoms of a xenophobic individual. Overcoming the fear of an unknown phobia. Right, well, people suffering from xenophobia are often unable to live happy and stress-free lives. Their anxiety is a constant, as a result of which they may be unable to take pleasure in daily activities or form healthy relationships. So, drugs and medication can help overcome depressive thoughts and lessen panic attacks. However, most of these are addictive and can cause several withdrawal symptoms. I would say drugs and medication is not the best way. I think it causes a lot of problems, it causes over-anxiety, and also if you come off it, you can end up being a bit doolally. Meditation and changing one's thoughts and imaginations are more beneficial remedies, and they're also long-lasting. Again, can they work with people? Are they willing to do that? If people are very xenophobic towards foreign ideas, meditation is really not a mainstream idea still. Self-help techniques as well as NLP or resurrect one's confidence and deal with one's xenophobia. Religion and politics should also focus on changing the environment to change the collective anti-immigration sentiment. Politics and religion should do that. Politically, we should work better. Religiously, we should work better. And as a holistic society, we should work better to have a better attitude towards things which are new. Yes, I think they should be more monitored, people. Yes, I believe that. But not to the point they're so monitored that we're over-monitored. See, it's that fine line. It's getting it right. Again, we all have our opinions. Experts also advise focusing one's mind on the goals rather than letting negative experiences sidetrack it. It's very important to remove negative associations with all that is strange and unknown to restore mental and physical peace. So, you see, the thing is, the biggest problem is this: when someone is xenophobic, is actually they actually don't have good lives because they're so angry at everything being wrong and they're so angry at other people that they actually don't take responsibility. Now, as a hypnotherapist, one of my things is I believe in the three R's. Responsibility is the big one. I think you've got to take responsibility and get rid of the remorse, get rid of the regret, right? The remorse, regret, oh, I didn't do this right, I did it right. But the responsibility, your actual responsibility and who you are and your respect, I think is very important. And with hypnotherapy, most of this, if I worked with someone, I have to be very wary sometimes when I meet people. And some people have some opinions I do not agree with. And I have to be always very wary of where I am as well, because if I was with people who have very xenophobic agreements on a race, if they're intellectual, I can probably talk to them and have that thing. Some people are all about using their physicality. So sometimes I would have to sit back and listen and just don't agree with it and wouldn't work with them. And that's why I'm very picky on who I fraternize with, or have my friends with, or have people who I have around me. When I was at school, I had a lot of people who were very xenophobic, very racist, very angry at things, how they were perceived. They would use racism words galore, and they never were picked up by teachers on it. Because I didn't go to school in London. If it was in London, that wouldn't have been the case. But being in the countryside, rural places, they are like that. I had curly hair, and I used to get bullied for things, and people are weird, very strange. So there is about the situation as well. But if I work with someone and they've got xenophobic attitudes, I will be talking to them about how I think they need to change their attitude, and that is sometimes I've looked at people and I don't really want to work with them, and I have been very honest and put them to someone else. And I think it's very important for me as a therapist with boundaries that if someone doesn't want to change or they want to have certain attitudes, I don't just work with anybody. And I have to be very wary of some people's attitudes towards certain things because I don't want to be associated with them. And I think we all have to look at that as individuals. My idea is that I think everybody should have an equal chance. I think everybody should have the idea of giving people a chance. And I believe that, like when I lived in India for a year, people treated me with respect. I treated them with respect. I think that's what we need in society. And I think it's missing a lot because I think people want to blame someone else. But again, your self-responsibility and your accountability is actually key. So until next time, like I said, I'm going to talk about 2 ways of doing it, probably put my own influence, why I don't agree with certain things in society politically, but so we have to look at xenophobics and look at the xenophobia, what is created, and I think we have to be very careful with this politically as well, because we see this on both sides of every election, and to me we have to sometimes understand that we have to get over that. So until next time. And if you do know anybody who is xenophobic and they need some bloody work, please put them my way. Hopefully they're not too much of a bigot or a twat. But yes, anyway, until next time, bye bye.